A lot of it's about being flexible. You could have called me a lot of things in the past, but being flexible was not one of them. I wanted stuff my way. That was part of my control issues. Today I realize this is not the way of life, whether it's life on life terms, whatever we want to call this, balance of your life, whatever you want to title this conversation. For me today, it's about keeping my perspective on my program and my sobriety. That's key for me, which is why I went out last night. It was really important for me to go out last night. And then understanding that the rest of my time in my life, I only have so much control over that, right? And this is the whole thing, right? That acceptance thing, where there's only so much of that I control. And in my situation right now, I don't control much of it.
I'm Matt.
Hey, I'm Steve.
Hey, I'm John.
This is the Sober Friends Podcast. We're here for the sober curious, the new guy, and the old timer. We're here to talk about the stuff anyone looking to live alcohol-free has to face day to day, and how we overcame those struggles. We speak for no 12-step group, but we do try to remain anonymous. You're not alone. This is the Sober Friends Podcast. I don't know about you, Steve. Well, I know you're busy. I shouldn't say I don't know about this. I know you're busy. I'm busy too. And I thought this is a great topic to talk about when you've got things going on in your life. How do you stay sober? I guess less of how do you stay sober, but how do you keep your mind in a place where you're not going nuts so that a drink seems like a reasonable thing to calm you down?
Yeah, good to be with you this morning, Matt. Got a little frog in my throat. Yeah, it's always a challenge for me to, not always, it's a challenge for me to remember that, right, in the busyness. And I have a history. My alcoholism has a history with that also, right? Is getting caught up in the busyness of the world, and then letting that chatter, that clatter. I forget how it's talked about in the big book too, how all of a sudden, you've got some time in and then the world sort of collapses around you and things get busy. And I had that happen to me when I first got into AA and I got into 12-step work, and I sort of lost sight of what was important, which was my sobriety. So it is really an important topic for many of us to, how do we do that, right? I mean, it's a topic that gets brought up in discussion meetings such as balance, such as this. But there's times in life where you don't have balance, right? I mean, we talk about you and your life with your kids at your age. It's hard to have balance because kids are busy and kids are doing it. So it's trying to find that stuff. And I've got some stuff going on in my life right now that is also challenging me. And this week in particular has been very challenging for me. And we'll talk a little bit about it today.
I got an unintentional break yesterday because on Friday in the Northeast, we got an incredible amount of rain.
Yeah.
The town closed the soccer fields because anytime we get a significant amount of rain, they get afraid that the cleats are going to dig up all the soccer fields. So it was supposed to be 2 games for my youngest daughter, 2 games for my middle daughter, and then we traveled to Southington to go to a volleyball game for my son. So it's a sunny day today, so we have 2 games for my middle daughter. They are also going to look after the barn where we have a horse. And these weekends have become pretty busy. Back in the winter, I had these volleyball trips. Now we have these, at times like 5 soccer games on the weekend when I'm trying to use that time to regroup from the week. It's not easy.
Right.
It's a Cadillac problem. I understand that. But it's kind of go, go, go. I'm the organized one in the family. And then if there is somebody decides to be spontaneous about something, then that could set us back. And I had a moment last night where my wife said, well, we got to pick up a couple things for breakfast. We went to BJ's, and she's like, well, while we're here, why don't we just do some shopping at like 8:15 at night? And I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah.
I like to have expectations set. If we're going in here for this, we're going in for that. I don't want to then say, well, we might as well just fill up the cart.
Yeah, those type of things can throw me off too. Not as much anymore, but they can. Like I said, have expectations of what a night or a day looks like, and then have it thrown off. And it's happened to me. I talked a little bit about it. My wife just had some surgery, and is requiring a lot of hands-on care, which is obviously come down to me, and it's like any expectations I've had of what I thought the last several months and maybe even the next several months, couple of months maybe, might look like are gone. I mean, they are, and they're gone. And luckily, and I don't understand it completely, but I've been able to figure that out and navigate that. And when I say that, I mean mentally and emotionally more than anything else. But it's impacted me, right? My wife had surgery on Tuesday, came home Thursday. I didn't go to my regular Wednesday night meeting. I didn't go to my regular Friday night meeting. And those are the type of things those small little things that start happening or can happen within our program that sends us down this path where before you know it, something has changed, right? And like I said, Cadillac problems. Mine aren't so much Cadillac problems right now, but they're still okay. But it is one of those things. It's still one of those little things that changes. And it's something that we have to be very, very much aware of. I have to be aware of it because my continued sobriety and my continued well-being and the well-being of those around me is dependent upon me working a solid program of recovery. That's my burden. That's my lot that I have to do. I have to do that work on a regular basis. And if we allow life, which we have to, again, we're at different places in our life, but if we allow life to take hold of that without paying attention to our sobriety, we can get ourselves in a really, really bad spot. And there's an old saying, right? And I think it's true. It's easier to stay sober than it is to get sober.
That's correct.
Right. And same thing. It goes with a lot of things. It's easier to stay, in shape than it is to get in shape. All those things are true. So for me, it's important that I stay sober because I know how hard it can be to get sober.
I look at some of these activities with the family as a living amends.
Sure.
That I can be present. So I'm doing some double dipping, and I try to be cognizant of that in the moment, that I am doing a living amends by being present and being active in their lives.
Right.
I also have to be better about getting the rest that I need, because that's where I started getting real prickly last night. I was tired.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get tired, and I'm out places late at night. I am no good.
It's tough. My situation is that, again, my wife needs a lot of hands-on care right now, which means that all of a sudden, she's in one room, I'm in the other room. We're trying to get a night's sleep, and we have a system now where she literally, she calls me. Right? Like she literally dials the phone, so my phone rings, and I wake up, and I don't even have to answer it. My phone's ringing at 2:00 in the morning. I realize she needs something, and I get up and take care of it, whatever it might be. And that happened this morning. Phone rang at 4:00 in the morning, and I went in there, and she was uncomfortable. She needed some pain meds, which I'm handling for her, and so I went through it. I mean, she's got a lot of medications going on. I literally made an Excel spreadsheet of everything I did. So it's just because I needed to know, like, when, like you can have this one every 8 hours. You can have this one every 6 hours, right? So I literally sat down and made up a spreadsheet for the next couple of weeks while she's on some of these meds. And I said, well, let me go look. I think you could have some pain meds. Let me go look. And so what happened to me was I was up at 4:00. And I had a task to do. I had to go in. I had to look at the spreadsheet. I had to get something. I never went back to sleep, right? That's just the way my body works, right? You give me 5.5 hours of straight sleep, chances are wake me up wide awake, chances are I'm up. And that was it. Like I was up. I tried to stay in bed, but finally, just before 6, I'm like, I might as well get up, like 5:30. And that's the other thing, right? So I've been tired, and that's been going on for a few nights. So I've been tired, and And when I'm tired, I can get pissed off and I can get angry.
Me too.
Even at her and her condition where I know she needs me. And again, you said something too, is that part of what I'm doing. I'm married to my wife. I love my wife. I want to take care of her. But also part of it is an amends, right? Of going through that and then taking care of her when she needs me. Now, I'll say this, is that I didn't go to 2 meetings this week, and I had taken a speaking commitment last night up in Enfield, which is about a 30-minute drive, 25-minute drive.
Oh, I know that meeting.
Right. And I was really anxious about going. And I'm like, all right, well, I said, let me call up somebody and see if they can come over and hang out with my wife. So I called up her best friend and said, hey, you around tonight? And she goes, yeah. I'm like, hey, I got a commitment. She knows I'm in the program. I got a speaking commitment, and I was wondering if you can come over and hang out with Sue while I'm gone. Just, and my wife was like, oh, I don't want somebody to come over to babysit me. And I need her to come over, right? I need to go out for 3 hours and have a peace of mind that you're not going to be on the floor, not being able to get up when I get home. And so this woman came over and sat with her, and I went out and had a great meeting. And I talked to people afterwards, and I said, the nice thing about this is I got a lot of stuff going on at home, and I was anxious with coming, and I had texted the guy who asked me to speak and said, hey, here's what's going on, and be prepared if I get a phone call. I may have to leave, blah, blah, blah. And I got there and I forgot about what was going on, right? For that hour that I was there, and it was a 2-speaker meeting, so there was somebody else who spoke. But for that hour that I was there, I completely put my stuff behind me. And what a nice mental break it was, right? What a nice mental break it was for me to do that just for an hour, and not only that, but we had a ride. And so it's really, really important, and because of this program, a few things happened there. I was able to reach out for help. Instead of me going, oh, I can't do anything, I got to do it all myself, I was able to reach out and ask somebody to help me, right? Like, come over and sit here for me and do this. And I needed to do that, and I've been invited out with a friend of mine to take a little hike and dog walk up in the local woods. And again, that might be a couple hours today, and I'm going to try to do it, and hopefully I can get my wife situated before I head out the door, give her some pain meds, usually knocks her out a little bit, put her to bed, let her take a nap while I go out for a couple hours and take a nice walk in the woods, So it's important to me to do those type of things, because what happens is when I come home and I have something to do, maybe that's not a envious, and then a good thing to do, or something that I want to do, I'm better off emotionally and better fit to do that type of work. So, it's important to keep an eye on those things.
Did you tell her that it would make you feel better to have somebody over that was more for you?
Yeah.
I think that's
well, what happened, I'll tell you, the quick part of it was I asked this friend without even talking to my wife. And this is my wife's best friend. My wife's not a big social person, but this is her best friend. And I ran out to do some shopping to grab some food. And while I was out there, this woman texted me and said, hey, Sue just texted me and told me I don't need to come over. She doesn't want anybody, And then I texted the woman too. And I said, Kathy, I need you to come over for me. I said, I'll be heading home. And I said, but I need you to come over for me. And when I got home, I told my wife, I'm like, I need this. And she was good. And by the time she came, she was fine. And actually the interesting thing was I got home and I told her, like, once Sue goes to bed, you can go home, right? Once she's in bed and she's safe, go home. And I got home and they were both still here and they were up and talking. Sue was, my wife my wife was resting in bed and her friend was sitting there and they were watching a little TV in the bedroom and that was nice to come home, right? And know that. So it's nice to get that break. It's nice to ask for help. Again, one of those things that we learn, right, is that we don't have to do everything alone. So for me, it turned out to be a really good thing, which is why when you suggested this topic today, I'm like, oh yeah, I can talk about that.
Help is so hard. My daughter helped me. We did Mother's Day breakfast, and the 2 daughters wanted to help do things. And my inclination is to say, no, I'm annoyed. I want to do this myself.
Right.
Some of that is I've spent a whole life doing things myself. I never have had the option of help. Now I have the option to help.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to let the kids do it and be less productive than you would be to get them to learn so that they feel better. So I did. I let them help. It was slower and not exactly the way I would do it.
Right.
But it is their mother.
Right.
And they wanted to help, so I took a step back and accepted help. That's one thing. And the other thing is I let go and let them drive, even though it was not at my level of perfection that I want for everything.
Well, especially with you when it comes around food, right? You're the cook of the house, right? You do food. I know you do food. You take pride in the food you cook. I was the same way with a lot of that stuff, and it's one of the things that if I have regrets about when my children were younger, I did the same thing. Like I was too much. I didn't allow my kids to participate at the level that I should have. Like because the same thing. Like it won't come out as nice. Oh, it'll take too long. And today I can see that, and again, hindsight's 2020. And actually, I watch my son with his kids, his three sons, two sons actually. One is too young right now, but and how much like they showed up the other day, and the oldest one had his shoes on, and they're on the wrong feet, and my son's like, my son's like, yeah, so they're on the wrong feet. So what? He did it himself, you know. And, and it's like, he said he got up the other day, put his pants on backwards, put his shoes on the wrong feet. And I'm like, oh, that's okay. You did it yourself. Good for you. I could have never done that, right? I would have had to fix that. And it's nice that he's able to just let that go and not be, just torn up by that little minutia stuff that drove me crazy. It really did. It drove me crazy for a long time. And that's not healthy for me. I realize that today. And I'm glad you're seeing some of it too, because it could save you a lot of anxiety and discomfort over things not being just the way you like them.
This is part of being busy, handling life I guess this is life on life's terms. And the subtopic here is when things are busy, especially with the family, when you don't have the time that you'd like. And this is also when you don't have the ability to do things the way you want to do for a specific reason, right, that you have to let go of certain things. And I'm letting go of the perfection of how the food is going to be done to let them have a shot. In the end, my youngest daughter did a great job with French toast. I helped her. I told her when to flip. I was there, but she handled it.
Right.
My other daughter made a fruit salad. I personally hate fruit salad. I think it's garbage and it's unnecessary. But she made something really beautiful that I wouldn't. Some raspberries, bananas, strawberries, blueberries. She put some of that stuff together. I don't like fruit salad, but other people do. And it looked great.
Yeah. And they
had a different outcome than I would have had. It wasn't a bad outcome. It was different.
Absolutely. And that's the key, right? Listen, I've talked about it here. I've talked about it in my meetings. My whole life I've been a control person. I have a hard time giving that up. And it's nice to be able to hear you say that, right? And that's the point. And listen, I wish I had some of these lessons years ago, but it's not that it would be bad or worse, but it is different, and that was something I always struggled with is understanding that different's okay. Different is okay. So, today again, I'm much better at that, right? I'm much better at that because of this program, right? I've had some years and time to work on this program and work on myself. So a lot of these smaller things that really drove me nuts, they don't bother me as much anymore. Again, they can still trip me up on occasion, and then plus I'm not in the, I'm not in that rat race that you're in right now with those young kids who require a lot of attention, who requires a lot of transportation. I'm not there right now, and but I do remember it. I remember those years, especially at the time where your kids, like I was a divorced dad. And basically, I was a single dad. I did most of that, even though I was remarried, and my wife would help me with my kids a little bit, her stepchildren, it really was my responsibility. And that was pretty clear. Like, this is your responsibility. I'll help, but I'm not going to be the go-to on it, And I remember how hectic those times were, and they were really stressful for me. And that what happened was for me, right? And this is what I said, I have a history of that. Part of that, and again, everything led up to it, but part of that was what led up to my relapse. Right, was me not being able to handle those day-to-day things, that busyness, and then the busyness of my children, the busyness of another marriage that needed attention too. Right, the busyness that my program needed. Something had to give for me back then, and unfortunately for me, it was my program. Mm-hmm. Right, that's what gave, and when that gave, it was only a matter of time before this alcoholic picked up a drink. Maybe other people could navigate some of that stuff. I couldn't navigate it for as long as I tried to do it without picking up a drink. And although that was unfortunate and it was not a good time in my life, it was also something that I today I look back at and I go, it's the best thing to happen to me. The fact that I relapsed after that was good because it gave me a chance to come back and do some things right, which is put me in a position today to have a pretty good life.
Well, I'm glad you relapsed, so I don't have to, because I learn a lot from those stories. I learn a lot from those relapse stories of what not to do and what could happen. What helps me in these situations is planning. I try to be planful and use my calendar and know when things are going to bump up. I got to be a lot more planful with ADHD. It's very easy for the day to get away from me. Yeah. To just float through and have the day work on me as opposed to the other way around. Friday night, I forgot this. Friday night, my son had his junior prom. In our town, they don't have a senior prom. They have a junior prom. That's their prom.
Oh, really?
So I took him the previous Sunday. We should have gone weeks ago. Took him the previous Sunday to Men's Warehouse, and we did a suit rental, and they were able to rush it. It was well spent $40 to rush the suit. Yeah. And I was able to be there for him because he's a 17-year-old who, it was his 17th birthday. We haven't even done a birthday thing for him yet. So all this stuff is happening. And so he's a 17-year-old going to, get a suit. We're lucky if we even get him in jeans, let alone slacks.
Right.
Let alone long pants. So I felt like he really needed me there to walk him through.
Sure.
This is how it fits. This is because he's like, oh, this is really tight. I'm like, yeah, it's supposed to be. He's incredibly athletic. Yeah. So when we looked at all the things like skinny, slim, modern, I look at him and I go, honestly, you probably could wear even skinny. You could get away with whatever you want. You have a good problem here. And to walk him through, this is how the fit should be. And if it feels a little snug, you need to go with a little bit of snug because it's going to make you look better.
Right.
If you go bigger, you're going to look like you're swimming in it.
Yep.
You have the body where you can pull this off. We went for pictures in the rain on Friday.
A lot of rain.
I was able to be there to do those things and to have a sense of pride. A lot of them don't go with dates now.
Really?
I guess they go with friends. He went with like a bunch of friends, like 10 of his friends. They all went together. Mm-hmm. One of them had a date, but I guess the girls do the same there, which I guess takes pressure off. They were all happy. They all were going together and taking the pictures. I was just very proud of him and his friend group. They're a good group of kids, and they looked like they were going to have fun. They seemed to have fun. It was good, and I could be there, and I was able to prioritize that. Yeah, but that's the important thing for me to do, and not just, well, I'm going to prioritize and I'm going to suck it up through this. I'm going to go there and I'm going to enjoy this experience.
Right. Be part of it.
Yep.
Right. Be part of it, not just be there. And there's a difference. It's interesting. It's just interesting listening to you, like no senior prom and not having a prom date. It's like those seem to be foreign to me. You know, but I'd be really interested in trying to figure out why your town doesn't have a senior prom. There must be a reason. It must be either issues or whatever. Yeah. Anyway, but listen, being there is a big part. And again, I have some hindsight, and they talk about being a grandparent, you get a do-over somewhat, and I do have a do-over going on right now because I'm able to look at my grandchildren and realize, like, oh, I have to work at spending time with them, right? I mean, my son has 3 kids, 3 boys. Right now, 3, 2, and an infant, right? The 3-year-old and the 2-year-old, like, they'll come over. My son will come up for a while, and he and his wife will take off for a couple hours, and I'm left with them. It's a handful with them, right? It's a handful to deal with the 3-year-old and the 2-year-old at my point. But it's also important for me to be part of that and to let them do stuff and to be part of that and include them in stuff. Same thing, like, hey, you want to go for a walk with the dog? Well, I know this walk's going to take a long time. We're not going to walk far, and it's going to take a long time. But they like doing it, so we do it. Participating is a huge part of my recovery right now, and I think it's why I'm able right now to deal with a lot of my responsibilities with my wife, is being able to participate and do it. Like I said, it's part of the blessings of the program, and a lot of stuff that I do, I don't like doing. I don't want to do it, but even just before I got on the podcast, she needed some help. I'm like, all right, let's take care of it, right? I mean, it was literally like that. Okay, let's take care of it, and then after the podcast, we'll get you up and get you some breakfast, and I'll have to wish her a happy Mother's Day, because it is Mother's Day today that we're recording this.
Hearing you talk about the walk, I can get caught up in, I have this idea of a walk with the dog should be X, and if it's not that, then something has failed, as opposed to, I'm not going to go with the expectation that I'm going to raise my beats per minute or that we're going to get a lot of steps in. That's not the point. So why set myself up for failure and have the expectation of, we're going to go for this walk? It's a different type of walk, and it'll be whatever it is.
Yeah.
That will be the joy.
Yeah, a lot of times when I head out for a walk with the dog, I'm lucky. I back up to a bunch of woods, and there's lots of trails in my backyard, and I could go out, and we do a typical loop. A typical loop for us is about 2 miles. It takes us about 40 minutes to do it, a little bit more, and that's what we do basically every morning. But once in a while, I'll head out, and it'll be like one of those days, I don't feel like doing it. Next thing I know, I'm taking a different route, and I'm out there for an hour, and I come back, and I've done almost 3.5 miles of walking with her. So I use that time as, I try to be flexible with that too, so I don't have, and there's other times where I get out there and I go, no, something, I'm just going to cut it short, let her do her business, and I want to get back home. And we don't go for the big walk, and so a lot of it's about being flexible. And one of the things you could have called me a lot of things in the past, but being flexible was not one of them, right? It wasn't. It was like same thing. I struggled with that. I wanted stuff my way. That was part of my control issues, part of getting stuff done. And today I realized, like, listen, it's not the way of life, whether it's life on life terms, whatever we want to call this, balance of your life, whatever you want to title this conversation. It's really about, for me today, it's about, number one, keeping my perspective on my program and my sobriety. That's key for me, which is why I went out last night. It was really important for me to go out last night. And then understanding that the rest of my time in my life, I only have so much control over that, right? And this is the whole thing, right? That acceptance thing, where there's only so much of that I control. And in my situation right now, I don't control much of it. Like, I'm stuck at home. I've got a lot to do, My wife and I, like, she's resting in the room. Like, I'll get a text message, hey, I need another drink. I need this. Like, literally, it's like being on call with the hospital, right? Boom, I get up, I take care of it. I have plans to go walk with, but like I said, walk with a friend of mine today. Whether that happens or not, I don't know. Like, I don't know what my afternoon looks like. That's what we talked about. Let's check out in the afternoon. I don't know if it'll actually happen or not. I like it to happen, and the dog would like it to happen. But we'll see whether it does or not. It looks like it's a beautiful day out there today. So
yeah, finally.
So I'm hopeful that I can get out.
Well, if you want some recovery in your mailbox, every Tuesday I write a Substack. It's loosely based on the topic we talk about on the podcast, but I want to hit you in different ways. If you want a little bit of a recovery story, I'd love for you to go to soberfriendspod.substack.com, put in your email address, and we'll zip it over to you. And there's no cost for that. I think it's something you'll enjoy. I enjoy writing it, so if you enjoy reading it, that's just a bonus for me. All right, Steve, go attend to your wife. Wish her a happy Mother's Day.
I will. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, Matt.
You're welcome, and we'll see everybody next week. Bye, everybody.